listening to Fiber Focus, your inside track to what's next in the world of fiber, telecom, and data technologies. Each episode, we bring you expert insights, industry innovation, and the conversations driving connectivity forward. I am your host, Meredith Neely, joined by Yuko Agano, who's our product manager for Air-Blown Fiber Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about the life cycle of air-blown fiber. So to start off, you and I had a conversation off camera, off mic, about what life cycle means. And it's a little different when it
Yes.
comes to our industry than it does in others. So can you share with the audience kind of what we were going with there?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So the life cycle
Mm.
in our everyday life, we probably think about like, let's say the fridge or microwave. If it doesn't work, the end of life cycle came, right?
Mhm.
But the optical fiber is a little bit different. Of course, the material, it is a big factor of the driven to set the life cycle of the product. Because, for example, the optical fiber cable or even the ABF product, we use the glass for the fiber. You know, the fiber has a coatings, color agent. We use a color agent or the jacket material like a PE or those types of material. They all have a life cycle, and then there's an end of it start getting deteriorating because it's the rust or the dry or a thermal impact. So that's a one big factor.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, for the optical fiber world, the major difference is the design change happens. For example, we used to use multimode OM1, OM2, but we really don't see those demand anymore, And then there are maybe some of the network, it like 288 fiber supports enough before, but 5G and then AI, those, the cloud computing, those make the huge difference that the existing, the previous, the cable or the optical fiber, the capacity is no longer be able to support the backbone of your project anymore. Then what happened is, if there's not enough conduit space, you probably have to take it out and then put the new optical fiber network that it fits to your needs. So that's when the end of life comes for the cable.
The
So
rip and
that's
replace,
yeah. So
rest
it
in
it is a
peace.
big difference. It doesn't happen that in the microwave or the fridge.
Yeah.
Another thing, it is the maintenance, the lack of maintenance. Of course, that is going to shorten the life cycle,
Mhm.
because the maintenance, routine maintenance, or the cleaning, those detects like like a small flows. And then you be able to fix the problem before it gets to the bigger problem. So those are, like, I would say, the major three factors that is dictates the life cycle of the optical fiber network.
Okay, so sorry, you said three. It was the mechanical.
Yeah, the material.
Uh-huh.
And then the second one is a design.
Okay.
And the third one is the lack of the maintenance.
Okay. All right, great. So what does that mean, like talking numbers when it comes to the life cycle of air-blown fiber solutions? Like how many years could you expect?
So at the indoor and an outdoor, there are different numbers because the indoor, indoor materials, those get impact from like a moisture,
Mhm.
and then also sometimes the end year comes when some animal, or ants or the rottens, and then you have to replace it. Another thing, it is, as I mentioned, it is a thermal impact, that there is a severe temperature difference or the environmental impact. It's a biggest factor
Mhm.
of the indoor. So the indoor, it is usually, when commonly, we're going to say about the 25 to 30 years. And then that is the same with the conventional fiber
Mhm.
and then also the ABF network too. So the big difference comes on the OSP, outside
Outside
plant.
plant.
Yes, outside plant. So it is airborne fiber. There's a pathway that you need to install, create the pathway first.
Mhm.
And then after that, you're going to blow the optical fiber bundle we call fiber bundle.
Hmm.
So you can create your customized the optical fiber cable,
Hmm.
and then so the duct, or we call pathway, that is made with a PE or HDPE material, and then it has a longer life cycle than indoor, the plenum or riser, the material, and
The
then those
cable.
the jack. I wouldn't say jacket, but it's a duct. The pathway
Okay.
has a longer life, and then that is, I would say, it's a 50 years or more. And then some, if you look it up the internet, some people are saying those HDPE, those last nearly 100 years. So
Okay.
once it is installed, the pathway is good for very longer than the conventional cable. So because the conventional cable, even the outdoor, we do publish it's about 25 years is a life cycle. However, for the ABF, the pathway, the duct, it is good for the materials is good for about 50 plus years. So inside the duct, you are going to blow in optical fiber bundle.
Hmm.
So the bundle, it is unfortunately it's not going to last 50 years. We advertise about like a 20, 30 years is the life cycle. It could go more, but it's usually about a 25 to 30 years is a common number that we use for the life cycle. And then however, the difference between conventional cable with the ABF is ABF you can blow out
Hmm.
and you can install, you can either purchase the new fiber
Hmm.
and then install it. And then when you reinstall it, you can change from, you used to use OM1. However, if you need the single mode and it has to be higher capacity, then you can install 72 fiber. And then instantly, that is, you're actually renewing your whole entire the optical fiber network to the new configuration, of which the regular cable cannot do that. So that's the big difference in the life cycle.
Oh, so it's so air-blown fiber is addressing the factors that influence life cycle one by one, really, it sounds like, right?
Yes.
Because as the technology evolves and if a traditional cable were installed, then that whole cable would need to come out to get the fiber count or the, faster, more highly performing fiber type
Mhm.
in there. But if the air-blown fiber pathway is there, it's just a matter of replacing the fibers themselves.
Yes. And then the good thing about the ABF airborne fiber is you can actually configure the way you want, and when you want. It is going to be depending on what types of pathway, because it really depending on how many tube counts your pathway has. But for example, you install the 24 tube counts, and then you have to do some upgrade, and then you no longer need OM1 or OM2, and then you have a 6 fiber OM1, and then you just take it out and you can repurpose that empty tube space and then blow something else. Or if you have more empty tube space available, then you can utilize those to create more higher capacity cable
Mhm.
that it needs to, suits to your project.
And just for any audience members who might not be familiar with the different fiber types, when you say OM1, you mean like the 62.5
Yes,
multi-mode. So
multi-mode. Mhm.
that's not installed so much these
It is,
days, or?
well, for our customer, for the ABF customers, we don't see as much as it used to be.
Mhm.
For the majority of our customers, they are, they're single mode users, and we used to have a lot of 6 and 12 fiber, selling pretty good, but now they're shifting to a more higher fiber count. And then we do have some project that the customer needs to do some upgrade so that they are switching from 6 fiber to 24 fibers. So, that's, as I said, it is end of life came for the 6 fiber, and then some people needs to do the upgrade. And then that probably happened in the course of like 15 years. And then it didn't really fully finish, the 30 years of the life cycle.
So, when we talk about future proof, and I'm putting quotation marks around proof because this is networks are evolving and the standards are changing and network architectures are evolving. Um, it sounds like air blown fiber, that pathway itself is as close as you can get to actually being future proof, right?
Yes.
Because once it's in place, it is going to be able to accommodate whatever it is the network needs moving forward.
Yes, and then the longer the life cycle is, it's a increase of the return on investment. So it is very important that when you're considering whether it is a air-blown fiber or a conventional fiber, what you use, extending the life cycle of the product, it's always the key to increase the return on investment.
Oh, very well said, Yuko. Well, thank you for all of the information
Thank you.
today. That's it for this episode of Fiber Focus. Stay connected with us for more conversations about the future of fiber, data centers, and all things telecom. Don't forget to follow and share this episode. And until next time, stay focused.